is it really possible that if I slow down even more in reading comp, that I'll get to the point where I can answer questions correctly and maybe like get to third passage and finish it and so on?
Yes, yes. The short answer is yes. And one thing you got to keep in mind is that if you're doing well in logical reasoning, then you can succeed in reading comp for sure. Because reading comp is actually easier than logical reasoning in the sense that logical reasoning forces you to decide how claims relate to each other and what you can infer from them, right? So when someone's making an argument in logical reasoning, you have to figure out what's wrong with that. You're getting, it sounds like, of the 11 LR questions you're getting them correct. So you're on the right path, right? Now you need to get to a point where you're getting more of those correct and getting to ones that are a little more challenging, because most of those first 11 are probably difficulties 1 through 3. But reading comp is easier. I'm not saying it's, people hate reading comp more than logical reasoning. People are like, oh, it's harder for me. I'm not saying it's objectively easier, but on some level it's easier because you don't have to do as much deducing, right? Like you just have to read and understand the claim and then read and understand the next claim. It's really challenging because you're just having a lot of claims that you have to read and understand. Whereas in logical reasoning, you have to read, understand, and then like decide whether that's logical or illogical.
Okay, so preparation-wise, would it be a better investment of my time to initially like just do more drilling on the logical reasoning, and then start doing more reading? Or
no, I mean, you could probably put more weight on logical reasoning so you can see that progress and keep that motivation and then keep going. But I'm not a big fan of like focusing on one section. I'm okay with like putting more time into it, but you're still going to want to do like one passage a day or something so you can continue to develop those skills.
Okay.
And just keep this in mind. The correct answers in reading comp are essentially one of the sentences from the reading comp passage, one or two combined. Sometimes it's just one, sometimes it's like two of them combined. And there are only about 15 sentences in every reading comp passage. So as long as you take the time to understand each of those 15 sentences, you can get to a perfect in reading comp. And maybe right now that means you can only do one passage in 35 minutes. It's not, it's not where you want to end up, but you can do that and you start getting them right. Yeah.
Statistically speaking, other students who struggle with this, who decided, okay, I'm just gonna get through passage 1 the best as I can, and if like they kept doing it, that they find themselves like capable of doing more, or is it something that's just organic, or did they have to push themselves with time at some point?
Well, if you get good at reading and understanding sentences, you will just naturally get faster at it. Okay. I don't know, like this is a weird analogy. I don't know why this came to my mind, but like sometimes when I'd like be driving and then all of a sudden I like would show up at home and I'm just like home. I didn't even like pay attention to where I was going. I just showed up there. Like when you do something a lot, there are pathways that are created in your brain that like automate that process, right? And so one thing that I've noticed as I've done this over the years is that as I get better and better at reading, I've created these pathways where it's like I read a sentence that's convoluted and I'm translating it into plain English faster than I was 5 years ago. And I'm not saying you have, 10 years to get ready for the LSAT, but if we have not been doing this and we go and start doing it, you can make a lot of progress. And I'm saying I'm still making progress after years of doing this, right? Like you just get better and better at reading their garbage sentences and like translating it into a clear idea of what it's exactly saying. And that's all that reading comp is.